Alright friends, and it is finally time. We have officially received some huge tier changes, and this is the final adjustments for Generation 9, at least before Legends ZA comes out. I do not believe that Legends ZA will impact the competitive Pokemon Generation 9 scene, as the game is similar in structure to Legends Arceus, and that game didn't have any impact on Generation 8 in any regard, so I doubt that all the mega toys that will be coming out will be officially available on Smogon, but that's another topic for another day. I think this is one of the most exciting changes that has ever transpired since the Indigo Disc DLC had dropped. Without further ado, folks, let's hop into it. But before we do, if you do enjoy this type of content and you desire to see more in the future, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already, as we shall be doing a lot more of these. But yes, tier shift day is upon us, so what better way than to just hop right into it from UUBL to OU. I mean, Rillaboom doesn't really make a difference. You basically couldn't use Rillaboom in any other tier besides Overused and Ubers, and nobody's pulling up to Ubers with the Rillaboom of all things, unless they want to do a meme video or something. I'm not so familiar with the Overused landscape. I have some successes in OU here and there. I suppose just the grassy terrain support Rillaboom being in Overused offers is well enough. There are a lot of Pokemon that are quite strong in Overused that desire the earthquakes to be weakened, like Raging Bolt, Pecharunt for example, which is almost unbreakable in the grassy terrain. Even Slowking Galarian can chilly reception out, and on facing some deadly earthquake that it would have destroyed it one way or another. But yes, the grassy terrain providing passive healing for the team is just an excellent notion. Grassy seed teams can spring to life because of the grassy terrain blooming. But the fact that Rillaboom can just knock random Pokemon off and not get 1-hit KO'd and just offer easy U-turn into a very powerful breaker, I think is what made this Pokemon rise up to the Overused tier. I mean, who are you gonna go into to answer Rillaboom? Corviknight, Pecharunt, Pokemon like that, and those Pokemon have highly specific answers. Rillaboom is also a great check to Pokemon like Primarina, which we see is not that often used in Overused. I must admit that's quite a shock, but yeah. I mean, Rillaboom also a good check Tinglu, with Grassy Glide. That priority is always good. It can check the Alomomola as well. So what's not to love regarding Rillaboom? It was no surprise to see Rillaboom rising. But the news that is the most shocking, actually not that shocking, but the most interesting I would say, is the fact that both Heatran and Tornadus Therian have risen to the Overused tier. I'm not so sure as to why Heatran was used so much in Overused, but I have some information regarding Tornadus Therian. This is a big blow to the underused tier, or a blessing in disguise, because Stall was a very difficult Pokemon to play with in underused. Tornadus Therian was just showing the middle finger to everybody, preventing recoveries, U-turning and regenerating out. One of the most reliable Pokemon on most teams in underused. Second most used Pokemon in the tier. I think it was just the most viable Pokemon in the tier as well. Heatran, number 6 in the tier. Just Magma Storm. When it lands, this Pokemon is an absolute nightmare, you know. The fact that the Magma keeps chipping the opponent consistently regardless of what their HP stat is, and regardless of resistances, that's the part that makes the Magma a bit of a maddening attack to deal with. Most people running Flame Body Heatran as a means to punish the unresisted low kicks, as knockoff and unresisted U-turns here and there, and just as a physical attacking deterrent in general. There wasn't much fire stab being fired off in the unused tier, so Flame Body was the preferred ability, but these two Stall breakers are gone, so maybe Stall can find a resurgence. In Overused, it's kind of obvious to see why Tornadus Therian was picking up in popularity, and the reasons are as follows. Tornadus Therian has surprisingly, if I could show you, don't let this weak looking defensive stats fool you. The Regenerator ability does a lot of the heavy lifting. As long as you are not getting 1-hit KO'd, Tornadus Therian sometimes feels invincible, as you all should know by now. But that pure flying typing, along with nasty plot. Great Tusk, the number one Pokemon, if there's no booster speed or rapid spin active, it has to run in fear of the Bleak Wind, hitting it on its weaker defensive side. Golden Go gets blown to smithereens by Heat Wave at +2. King Gamma gets blown by Heat Wave. Ogerpon is slower and gets Bleak Winded to the next dimension. Zamazenta, if it's not packing Stone Edge, is not one-hit KOing, so Bleak Wind, victim. Slowking Galarian is a check, of course, but at +2, you're not one-hit KOing me, and you best hope that you are healthy. Because even if you just Toxic me or Sludge Bomb poison me, I'm coming back with the vengeance of the Regenerator. +2 Tornadus Siren is pretty powerful. Iron Valiant, who's been falling off, quote unquote, is still the 11th most used Pokemon in Overused. Bleak Wind victim. There's not much that Ting Lu usually can do to Tornadus Therian, such an annoying defensive monstrosity. Blocking your team's progress can be invalidated by nasty plot Tornadus Therian has. Tornadus flies above the earthquakes and Ruination can never kill a Pokemon, it can just chunk a Pokemon. And with Regenerator again, Ruination is an invalid idea. Tornadus Therian is faster than Sundays and just one-hit kills. It's got Grass Knot for Pokemon as annoying as Garganacl. So what's not to love regarding Tornadus Therian in the Overused tier? I've been seeing this Pokemon used a lot in the World Cup of Pokemon, which was a number of months ago, but it's been popularized since that time, I would imagine. That was the first time I saw it breaking through the strides. With a lot of top players using it, it can actually score and scare out a lot of the top class Pokemon in Overused, so no wonder it has risen. I believe there are rumors of Stall floating around in the Overused tier, so no wonder Heatran is finding some success, as discussed. Magma. It's not a nice attack to switch into, really and truly it's not. Use Rillaboom and Heatran together, get the grass up, get that healing up. Corviknight come in, who else can come in versus Rillaboom? Any check to Rillaboom really coming in. You turn out on them, go in a Heatran, threaten them with the Magma, and nothing's gonna want to switch in safely. That's neither here nor there. The Underused tier is about to go through some massive changes. Just a side note before we continue, friends, with these two Pokemon removed, I'm teasing you with the idea that Underused is gonna be warped. I will do a video in the very, very near future regarding the future of Underused and what Pokemon I believe are going to find smashing success now that the top dogs have left the building. From the rarely used borderline to Underused, regular old Ogerpon. I think this is only because of the rise of hyper offense and screens teams that are becoming popular in the UU tier. Ogerpon Classical, with its encore shenanigans and that speed boost when terrestrializing, is a safety net of sorts versus many variants of hyper offense. This Ogerpon punishes Pokemon that are hyper invested into their bulk and trying to get a double dance of sorts, like Thundurus Therian and Latios, who don't invest max speed, so sometimes you could even be faster than them if you do terrestrialize and lock them into their setup moves with Encore. Just disrupt the entire game plan of the opponent. So it's no wonder that regular Ogerpon rose in popularity. Very good disruption. You might think, oh, it's weak to low kicks. Actually, it's really not, because the classical set tends to be Spiky Shield, Encore, Ivy Cudgel, and U-Turn. There's no need to really be rocking that knockoff. You can if you want to, but it's not necessary. So whenever low kicks comes in, if they try to first impression you just Spiky Shield up. If they try to Sword Stance, you lock them in with Encore. If they try to U-Turn, you U-Turn before them, and you go into your safety net. With Tornadus and Heatran rising to the Overused tier, I can see Ogerpon becoming quite powerful once more in the Underused tier, even though it faces competition from its cornerstone counterpart. From Rarely Used to the Underused tier, this is a major blow for the Rarely Used tier, I must show you folks. Zapdos G was the number one used Pokemon in the Rarely Used tier, one of the most reliable choice scarfers. You could have slapped this thing on any team. I'm sure the Rarely Used tier is feeling the pain with their number one Pokemon rising to the Underused tier. I'm not so certain why this Pokemon has risen to the Underused tier. It might be due to the tournament scene, but even in tournament scene, I haven't really seen that much of Zapdos. It is a good choice scarfer in the Underused tier. Scares out Tornadus at low health, U-turn freely, easy, all day, every day. Faster than Latios, beats Heatran, beats Ogerpon Cornerstone, and scares it out for that matter. And with Weavile, which we shall talk about later, rising, Scarf Zapdos G will be an excellent Pokemon to just threaten that new arrival into the unused tier. But it remains to be seen like, what exactly Zapdos G's role will be. I'm so shocked. Okay, I haven't played ladder in a long time, so it's no secret that I do not know every single corner of the unused tier no longer. But based on what I've seen at high level play, at least, I've been involved in some epic tournaments as of late. I haven't really seen Zapdos G, man. I've been seeing some other ideas come to fruition, but that's neither here nor there. NUBL to RU doesn't really matter, but on the low ladder of the rare used tier, I've had a bit of a taste of the rare used tier. I've actually gotten to the top 4 of the ladder, I believe, was where I peaked. We shall still reach that rank 1 one day, I can promise you that much, friends. But Hisuian Lilligant, you know, just victory dancing, swords dancing in the sun. Lots of low ladder players love to use sun and just cheese their way to victory at the end of the day. From NU to the rarely used tier, another brilliant Pokemon. Diancie, the 8th most used Pokemon in the tier. That fairy stab that it provides, it's seen some niches and overused as a late game trick room killer. If you look at the overused tier for a second, 1 trick room up and 1 meteor beam boosted. Earth power set threatens it threatens Glow King. Moonblast for Landorus, Moonblast for Zamazenta, Moonblast for Ogerpon. There's barely any people that want to take on that Moonblast in the late game after the Trick Room has been set up. Especially not the number 1 great task, no ways. If we look at the rarely used tier, what niche could Diancie have performed? I've mostly seen it perform the same function of late game Trick Room cleaner, but one thing that it can do, I'm not sure if people have leaned into or noticed that it could possibly do, is be a mixed attacker. You know, after a single Diamond Storm into Hisuian Gudra, for example, who might be expecting some Moonblast to shrug off this massive special defense stat. You get the +2 boost and then you body press them. Whoa, that's gonna kill. Not really, because Gudra is such a bulky menace, but nonetheless. I think it also enables Trick Room quite well in the rarely used tier. I mean, Croron is there, and Croron's just swords dancing its way to victory all day, every day, receiving healing wishes and doing all sorts of shenanigans. Mimikyu makes Trick Room setting up as easy as ever. Slowbro is down there as well. Reuniclus with Life Orb antics, so just another Trick Room Pokemon that people will love in the rarely used tier. Although that's not the full reason I believe it happened. I myself have never been a Diancie connoisseur, but it is a very good Pokemon with very reliable stats and a fairy typing you can never go wrong with, especially fairy typing that is not weak to the traditional poison style attacks. The NU tier shouldn't really miss this Pokemon that badly, as Florges is still available for the NU tier. Let's see what other fairies they possess. I mean, yeah, we just received Ribombee as well, but Florges was available. Ninetales also used to be available. Sylveon, of course, being such a old school favorite back in the day. It's what's not to love regarding fairy typing in the NU tier. There's no shortage of fairies. Maybe Diancie being the strongest, not really. I mean, Florges could just still spam the living daylights out of Moonblast, so it won't be missed that much. There are enough rock types to take advantage of in the never used tier anyways. So enough about Diancie. Duraludon moving to the NU tier. I mean, why not? NU tier's, I think, struggling for steel types. Look at steel types in the never used tier. Yeah, there were some, but they all play some type of unique role. You know, Bronzong sometimes goes in a sweeping stint of its own, but just there for defensive measures with Levitate and whatnot. Copperaja can be a strange style attacker, you know, having its massive coverage options, but all of them are mostly physical in nature. Duraludon provides a nice special attacking option for the steel types, for your steel type on your team. It gained the Eviolite this generation, so I'm not sure why people are not abusing this Pokemon to its fullest. But yeah, I think Duraludon will just completely take over the NU tier. It can take on an Earthquake from Flygon, who is the king of the tier. I mean, look at the top 10 in the tier. Flygon gets Draco Meteor to the next dimension, resist to poison and psychic from Monkey Dory. Resist all of Chinchino's attacks, beware of the knockoff though. Resist Galarian Articuno's attacks. No more Diancie to disturb it. Rhyperior, you will live. Flash Cannon that thing to the next dimension. Klefki is not a threat. It's not a threat, it's just going to throw down spikes and whatnot, so I think Duraludon's going to find itself a decent Pokemon in this tier, to be honest with you. From PU to NU, a lot of powerful people. I'm not going to spend so much time talking about them, but Wo-Chien is the big one that I'm thinking about. Houndstone, I could probably see it having a niche there because of its fluffy ability, not because of Banded Poltergeist. The support structure and the teammates it can play with is not adequate enough to make a case for the Banded Poltergeist spam from the Sandrush Houndstone. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Wo-Chien's niche is in the tier. I mean, it's good to resist Earthquake from Flygon that's boosting up to the high heavens and foul playing that into the next dimension. But I'm not so informed when it comes to the never used tier, so I cannot give you an adequate estimation of what these Pokemon will do. And from 0 to P, we'll just skip because I can't be bothered to make the video go on for an eternity. But the interesting parts that we should discuss is the overused to underused drops. This is our home, this is our tier, and let's see how this may affect us. Sticky webs were always available in the underused tier, but I don't think Rabombi traded very well. You know, it basically just got sticky webs up, and if you were very, very lucky, afforded you the opportunity to stun spore somebody. But further than that, nothing. Araquanid at least can bring an opponent down to 1 HP and threaten some heavy damage on a lot of guys. And Araquanid doesn't have to be used as a all or nothing Pokemon. You could save it for the back, you know, in the late game, where you can throw off a last ditch powerful liquidation onto some frail Pokemon. With no Tornadus, this will be a lot easier to do as well, because Tornadus and Heatran are just taunting and showing the middle finger to everybody. So maybe Web's playstyle shall make a resurgence in the unused tier. I think by far Araquanid is the best Webs setter that we've currently got. And Weavile dropping. Weavile was suspect tested in the unused, and I've had protests regarding Weavile remaining underused until it rose. I was very happy when Weavile rose to the overused tier. And then we got Deoxys and a few other gentlemen with it. But Weavile is the fastest Pokemon in the tier now without a Scarf at all. It's got Ice Shot for priority. The tier had not much consistent and reliable Ice Stab, you know. Mamoswine was not that prominent in the unused tier because of the speed being so slow. Mamoswine tended to just like threaten somebody with, probably get like half a KO on average in a game, taking 50% of a total Pokemon, I guess. Because more often than not, you'd have to Terrasilize your Mamoswine into a grass type to avoid Pokemon like Keldeo throwing off stabs, Draco Meteors from Latioses, Iron Head from Extradils if you were slower. A lot of Pokemon just threatened Mamoswine out so tremendously because of the slow speed. But with Weavile, you don't need to spend turn boosting your speed with a weak non-stab attack. You can, from turn 1, throw off a very powerful stab knockoff and an even better Ice Stab in Triple Axle. And Weavile possesses setup sweeping capabilities with Swords Dance as well. So your Ice Shards can become a weapon, not just a threat, you know, an idle threat. Mamoswine's Ice Shard was only powerful when it had boosts from the Life Orb or the Choice Band. Now you can just Swords Dance and boost your guy up to the next dimension with Weavile. So I think Weavile will not be that broken, but I think it will be very annoying to play against. You'll have to do a little dance when you deal with Weavile. You'll have to slap some answers on your team is what I'm trying to say, because of the immense threat that Knockoff and Ice Stab possesses. At least Knockoff and Ice Stab that cannot be outsped, for that matter. But there are many answers, some of which we shall talk about, as I alluded to in the opening stages of this video. I can think of quite a handful of answers that can reliably check Weavile. So there's no need to overreact and think, oh no, it's going to be broken. I think it's a welcome addition, an annoying addition, but a welcome addition nonetheless. One we shall talk about in grander detail in the near future. Underused to rarely used borderline, or Lucha is hit or miss, and so is Comfey. Excadrill being number 1 in the tier with special defensive set, and it's an auto forcing of the Terrasilize for Comfey. There was Tornadus too that was hampering this Pokemon's performance, and Heatran for that matter. So you had to press the Terrasilize button with Comfey if you wanted to make some type of progress. And if the opponent had the appropriate Terrasilize in response, just forget it. Your Comfey is going nowhere, doing nothing for that matter. And you always need to be setting up your Comfey one way or another. You need to be acquiring your Calm Mind. 1 or 2. 1 sometimes isn't enough, but like I said, with Excadrill just ruling the roost, there's no way Comfey is coming back. Maybe I'm wrong. Big changes to the never used tier. Rabombi, like I told you, it does not much in RU and in underused, besides just getting up sticky webs and then dying in the next subsequent turns. Same with Azelf. There's no real massive reason to be using Azelf in these tiers when they are. I mean, it's not 1-KOing everybody or threatening many 1-KOs. Zapdos was always Choice Scarf, and you're not rocking Choice Scarf Azelf with an unreliable Psychic Stab. And Zapdos had super effective U-turn, super effective knockoff, and that was on every team basically in the rare use tier. So there's never a reason to use Azelf. Another thing that I think people underestimate as to why Azelf is a poor Pokemon in rare use, in my opinion. There was a better Psychic attacker, first and foremost. In Armor Rouge, Basket Legion was better as a special attacker. I could flip it around too, so could keep up the momentum. The late and God of War were better. God of War was one of the best Choice Scarfers too in the tier. I think it will be the best Choice Scarfer now. Gengar's also there, be a Choice Scarfer. But one of the reasons I think really killed Azelf was because of this guy right here. Competitive Empoleon. The fact that Empoleon has received Roost in this generation, you'll be surprised how little damage all of Azelf's attacks would do unto Empoleon unless you going out of your way with Bulk Up, Drain Punch, some arbitrary set that never gets used. So it's no surprise that Azelf has fallen to the wayside. And Terrakion, another example of a Pokemon that is struggling for a place. It's not that Terrakion is bad by any stretch of the imagination, it's just that why should I use Terrakion when I can use Zapdos G, or at least I could have used Zapdos G at the end of the day. Look at the real use tier and tell me, what is Terrakion going to be doing with its absolute speed? Setting up Stealth Rocks is about the best you could ask for. It can barely switch into anything. Many of the threats that it can be 1v1 have means and methods like Terrasilize, for example, or moves to kill Terrakion outright. And Slowbro is around here, so even +2 swords aren't boosted. Stone Edge, bouncing off the Slowbro, and just regenerate all that all day, every day. There's so much priority flying around in the rarely used tier. Mimikyu is there. Wow, I'm struggling to find the priority right now, but believe you me, Aqua Jet from Crawdon being dangerous. Bishop Terrasilize into a Ghost type and just iron hitting you for 1-KO. Chestnut is there. It's just way too much for Terrakion to handle. There's not much Terrakion can offer the team that cannot be done by an entirely different idea. Like Hisuian Lilligant, for example. It shares its fighting typing with Terrakion, and you could call it like a Virizion counterpart, if you will. Pseudo-Virizion counterpart. Hisuian Lilligant sets up so easy. It's got better typing, it's in the sun, so water moves are weakened, it can heal, it's faster than everything alive, it's got Ice Stab. If it's not in the sun, it's got Hustle, so the power is turned up to 11. And Hisuian Lilligant also beats some of the walls in the tier, which Terrakion struggled to do, like Slowbro, killed by Hisuian Lilligant. Goodra, killed. Hippowdon, dead. Quagsire, gone. Not too tough a job for Hisuian Lilligant to perform. No, Terrakion is struggling for a place, my friends. It's not the scary threat that it used to be. And Stone Age tends to miss all the time anyway, so there's nothing. Just 2 quick updates. I'm on the Smogon Discord server, and they decided to just quick ban Gyarados and Volcanine. I'm not sure why the council has decided to just suddenly remove these two Pokemon from the tier. Yes, they were good, but they were not overpowering. Volcanine was very reliable to use in this tier, but okay, I guess that's what these handful of players decided to rule the RU tier, and I don't blame them, to be honest. They were quite powerful Pokemon, but come on, guys. That's a bit sudden, in my opinion. I have never been one to complain about these two. And Mamoswine is all of a sudden going to be suspect tested in the very, very near future, if it has not already started by the time this video gets uploaded. So, just another bonus piece of news for you friends. Skip what happened to Dreadnought and what's this guy's name? Inteleon. We don't care about those guys. Heracross is going away. It's becoming an untiered Pokemon sooner or later. And Ninetales, the super screens that used to be scary to face in Generation 7, overused. What are you doing in the lowest tier possible? I'll tell you what. There are several reasons why Ninetales and Heracross are struggling. But let's start with Ninetales. Ninetales is a bit easier to explain. In all the tiers below, underused. Light Clay is banned. And every tier has some Pokemon that can pack a punch. Let's put it that way. Ninetales has one of the poorest defensive typings and packs 0 punches with its base 81 special attack. Why would you use this as an attacker? Steel resists both of its stabs, and Steel types are in every tier. So Ninetales will always have a check. 4 turns of screens is not enough to work with to justify screens, especially as the lower the tiers get, the weaker the Pokemon that abuse the screens become. So screens is not an adequate playstyle with limited turns and weak Pokemon to take advantage of. Even with the Snowcloak boost, Ninetales' defense is still poor if it's uninvested in. So there's no reason to use Ninetales. And if you want to go for a surprise Terra Blast, with Nasty Plot, there will be a Choice Scarfer faster than you all day, every day, in every tier. No wonder Ninetales is falling away. Why is screens not being used and underused? You might wonder. Sand is there. People love sand. Ninetales also wouldn't be used and underused much because Tornadus and Heatran again were showing middle fingers and flipping the bird and telling Ninetales to shove it, resulting in screens being difficult to get up sometimes, not always. But yeah, Heracross, same reason. Why would I want to use Heracross when I got so many different fighting types in the NU tier? Like Breloom, for example. And Flamigo, which was one of the best Choice Scarfers. Way better than Heracross with better stabs. It's not that these Pokemon are bad, it's just they're struggling to find a use case. There's over 1,000 Pokemon being created, so there's bound to be massive overlaps and favoritism as well. So some of the old school guys will not tend to find game time on a regular basis. But yeah, we can't have this video go on for an eternity, friends. We're gonna call up the summary of the October tier shifts with that. Just a few little updates as well that I've just received. I was supposed to upload this video ages ago, but I ran into a number of problems. But that's neither here nor there. Azelf and Terrakion were quick banned from the never used tier, and it's acceptable. Azelf is the fastest thing in that tier, and I believe the coverage that Azelf offers in the never used tier, it's got a move to smoke most of these guys, except Incineroar, which can be dealt with in one way or another at the end of the day. So Azelf being so quick and so reliably quick, I mean, oh my goodness, the coverage was just insane. Terrakion's being re-suspect tested. I don't believe these guys should ban it. Give Terrakion some love and a place to stay. Avalok's going to be a Terrakion counter, even with his weak ice typing. Avalok will destroy Terrakion. Bellybolt's going to paralyze it all day, every day. Basculegion's going to Aqua Jet into the next dimension. Chinchino is faster and will kill it with Bullet Seed. Duraludon will live the hits. Flamigo will Choice Scarf it. Flygon will Dragon Dance around it. Gligar will take it. Infernape is there to speed tie with it and give it competition. Raikou will Scald it to the next dimension. Rhyperia's armor, or its solid rock in this case, will just allow it to sponge the attack and then just Earthquake into oblivion. Thoraptor with Choice Scarf, Brave Bird, killed. Swampert will Flip Turn and Earthquake. Tauros will Intimidate. Keep Terrakion in this tier. It's not needed to go anywhere. If they are afforded the opportunity to Swords Dance up and rip through your entire team, you might have played the game poorly, or your team has been built poorly. Combination of both might be the case too, or the opponent just completely outclassed you, which will not happen every day and every single game with Terrakion. So keep it in the never used tier. Something I will attempt to do, as I will participate in that suspect test. But I hope you enjoyed this video, folks. But if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to both channels. But until next time, folks, we shall be U-turning out. Thanks for watching.